Hello and welcome back to the ROKER RAPPORT Extra podcast. This week it is Charlton. We seem to be playing teams quite frequently, don't we? I've only just I was going to say recovered from Blackpool, but it's not really a recovery. I didn't actually drink that much, but it was a good day out. And then I think since we last spoke, we also drew with Shrewsbury. But things are looking good. Things are going quite nice this season, aren't they, as I was just saying. And I've got Nathan back from Charlton Live, who was with us right at the beginning of the season. So we've got a bit of catching up to do. But Nathan, how are you? Are you well?
Yeah, not bad. Probably just like you, just getting used to the topsy-turvy of League One. But yeah, like you say, it's been a while. I mean, I can still remember going up to obviously Stadium of Light and obviously coming away from that quite pleased, really, considering we lost. But yeah, it's obviously all change. And obviously you guys are up there, which, you know, was inevitable. And there was nothing for you lot to worry about, was there? I told you, no. It'd be fine. Apart from Walsall. That was the only one, wasn't it? But yeah, I think you guys are doing fine as expected.
And I was listening back to, because the first extra podcast, if anyone's new to this, was with you, Nathan, this season. Not the first official, but first one this season. But one thing I was listening back to was how kind of unsure you were about how your season was going to go. And I mean, people forget how kind of big that game was with Gooch scoring the last minute and what that did to the club as a whole. But Charlton, in my opinion, probably the best side we've had at the stadium this season, and you've done quite well. It's not a surprise from me that you're up there. So how's the season been? Yeah,
I mean, obviously going back to the first game, we didn't hardly have any players, and I think we only had 5 subs, I think, and they were all like, you know, under the age of 19 or something, and I think George Lapsley came in for his first start. I think it was. I could be wrong there. And we started really brightly and got, you know, Taylor got a penalty. And I mean, after that, I mean, we could only make one sub, which was obviously Naby Sarr coming on towards the end. But I mean, I felt sorry for the lads because they actually put on a performance, which, you know, I think we went up there and, you know, thought we were going to get battered, you know, even though the season before didn't work out. You know, obviously I've just recently finished the Netflix stuff. So, and when you think of that first goal, you might have been dreaded the worst. But I mean, you done well, and it's obviously when Magic got their first goal, the equaliser, you obviously were in the ascendancy. But I mean, yes, I mean this season we went through a stage which we went through a stage of we was doing where it was ticking over fine, and then we won like 8 in 10 games or something like that recently, and we only lost on Boxing Day and on Saturday just gone against Barnsley. But before that, we had a couple of silly results like the Rochdales away and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, Bowyer's been doing absolute miracles. I mean, I think we've got about 9 injuries at the moment, so we're struggling to put a midfield together in the last God knows how many weeks. But I think Bowyer's alluded to it. What we're struggling with at the moment is we're not getting knocks and someone being out for 1 or 2 games. We're getting injuries of 8 to 10 to 12 weeks, but they're to key players. So I mean, yeah, both. When Josh Cullen got injured against Walsall in November or October, I think quite a lot of us envisaged us to go down to sort of 10th, 12th in the league. But I mean, Bowyer's just done an absolutely amazing job, and they were still in touching distance going into the window.
When it comes to the way you've played, I think I remember that you didn't have many subs. I think if we remember at the time, you weren't too sure what was happening with the takeover, and I think Lee Bowyer was actually not the official manager at that point, was he?
No, he wasn't. And I mean, there's some rumblings around at the moment about a takeover now, but it's just been ongoing, really. But yeah, he's done amazing. You know, it's hard to sort of explain, you know, to anyone who doesn't really follow Charlton week in, week out, and, you know, of how we play, the key positions. I know we've obviously got Grant and Taylor up front, which is great. But the midfield pieces, we just seem to be, you know, we'll get someone back and then someone will be out for 3 months. I mean, you know, we had Veta Cayley and Josh Cullen both pick up dislocated shoulders in the same game. and they're out for 12 weeks. And it's like you hardly get one in a season, let alone two in the same game of the same injury.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the luck we're having at the moment. But we're not one of those teams to sit there and blame results on it. It is hard, and yesterday I've lost track of days. Where are we now? Yesterday,
Wednesday.
Yeah,
I think.
so we
Wednesday?
played Walsall. Yeah, so we played Walsall yesterday, and had to play. Play a left back and a central midfielder who's really young. So it's just one of those things really that the luck's not really going for us at the moment.
And yet, taken away from all that, you've done really, really well. And I think, again, it's not that surprising for me or probably many Sunderland fans, because obviously Lyle Taylor was really impressive at the start of the season. We wanted him. He's continued to do well. But also your performance at the Stadium Light, which I kind of want to take you back to a little bit, because we're always going to remember that game as how huge and how massive it was, and mainly because of how late the winner was, the way the game went. It really kind of set out our stall for the season. But how was that from a Charlton perspective, i.e. like how you felt about the game, but also what was it like to be part of that game, but on the opposite side?
Yeah, obviously at the time, on the train up on the Friday, I wasn't really looking forward to it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And then obviously we get there, and then you embrace the atmosphere, and obviously you're up in the gods like you are with the other side down the road up in the gods. But I remember it was really hot. And then I remember the first sort of 15 minutes. It surprised me a little bit, because I thought we would have been in our shells a little bit. But obviously Bowyer sort of went at them, and we showed a bit of bravery on the ball, which I was very surprised to see. And then obviously we went ahead. Knowing that we weren't going to be able to make any changes because they're all just academy players on the bench.
Yeah.
I know everyone will say, you've got to give kids a go at some stage. Of course you have, but I think when you're going to the Stadium of Light, when there's 30,000 people and you're shoving someone on at the age of 17, 18 and say, yeah, see this game out for us, it's a bit harsh. But,
yeah.
But no, I think, don't get me wrong, I was absolutely gutted when the second one went in. But in hindsight, we probably wasn't expecting to come away with anything, personally. And it was just a night. I think it did for you. It set your stall. I think it made us realise, you know what, we haven't got a massive budget as some teams in this division, but we know that we can compete. And Bowyer always set his team up to give 110% regardless of who's there. And there's been games where we haven't been the best side, but that determination has obviously pulled us through.
And I think without doubt, you're there or thereabouts. I wrote something the other day, which hasn't gone up just yet. It might be up by the time this is released, but it was about the 5 key games that we have. And I think 2 of them related towards you. Obviously, the game on Saturday is huge, because that's actually technically one of our games in hand, although it's not officially, because I think Portsmouth and Luton are both in the Cup.
Yeah.
So we could make up a bit of ground on Luton and Portsmouth on Saturday with a win. But also on top of that, when we play Coventry's the week that you play Luton. So I've got Charlton, Luton, Sunderland, Portsmouth as the 4 teams going for it. I think we've stood out really, really far. But I think the big thing for me with Charlton, from what I've seen, is you haven't just got one striker that can put the ball in the back of the net. You've got 2. How good's Lyle Taylor been?
Lyle's been amazing, in short. I think as well. Obviously when you first look at it as an outsider, you'll just say he scores the goals, which is great. But his build-up play, his physical presence, his intelligence as a football player in this league is absolutely pivotal. And I think Carlin Grant, he's the rapid one. He's the really quick one and the nippy one.
Yeah.
But Lyle, he'll, like on Saturday we were under the yesterday we were under the cosh against Walsall. He'll win. He'll buy free kicks, not by diving like the other team down the road do in Zaha, but you've got. He'll win the free kicks by being clever, by being a clever forward, and he's very good at it, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. He tracks back, he runs back, he'll run 50 yards and make a sliding tackle, and that's the thing that we've missed in recent years. We've not had that grit and he sort of any Bowyer side, you'll have someone like Lyle Taylor in there. So yeah, like you say, you've got two players who are getting, goals, and they are setting up each other as well. Which at the beginning of the season, there was a game up in Accrington where both of them were being quite selfish, because they were quite, they were still a new partnership, but they seem to be gelling very well now. And but we just need to try and help them out in other areas of the pitch.
And I think that I was talking about League One teams the other day, and it was like it feels different to the Championship, because in the Championship the bottom team can beat the top team for now, and no one blinks an eye. I think League One has a little bit more structure to it in terms of there's teams at the top do well, and what I've noticed is that the best teams in the league seem to have a centre forward. So do you think that Lyle Taylor's changed your prospects, or has it been more of a, I mean, it's always a team effort, don't get me wrong, but having a centre forward that can put the ball in the back of the net and bring other people into the game, as you kind of alluded to before as well, can make all the difference, can't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, last year we had a striker called Josh McGuinness, who's now at Bolton, who, don't get me wrong, tries hard for the team, like you say, works hard, but he's never going to get you 15, 20 goals.
Yeah.
He'd not struggle, but he'd barely just go into the 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, which isn't any fault of his own. But I also thought, in fairness to Josh McGuinness, we when we had Carl Robinson here, he was stubborn and playing one up top, two wingers either side, and it wasn't working. Whereas Bowyer tends to do the 4-4-2 diamond, sometimes the 3-5-2, but having two up front, you usually come across two centre halves in League One. Having Taylor and Grant, you give them to think about. And I think, obviously, just going back briefly onto the first game, I think it might have been Ozturk, I think, who was caught out for the penalty, or was it Leuven's? Can't remember.
It was actually Chris Maguire who gave the penalty away.
Oh really? Oh yeah, because he come across, didn't he?
He did. But I mean, I think the performance of Ozturk and Leuven's is not really a surprise that they don't really get in the team anymore.
Yeah, because I know there was one of them that weren't too, and I think it was his debut, the Ozturk
Yeah,
but then I thought, then I remember you bought Jack Baldwin, but I don't know if he did very regularly. But I used to think he was quite good at Peterborough, but yeah, I mean, when you play two up top, you're always going to cause problems, and I think sometimes some defenders don't really know how to handle Lyle Taylor, because he can drop, he can go on the last man, he's powerful, he can play to his back to goal, he'll go in the channels, so he's quite hard to sort of pin down, so to speak. So I think he's the most fouled player definitely most fouled forward in the league. I think it was. I saw a stat the other day, but he has changed the team. He's changed the dynamic of the team for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he does look. I mean, we saw him opening game of the season. I haven't obviously seen him too much since, but it doesn't really surprise me that he annoyingly has kicked on. It's kind of a part of you that you don't want him to, because he turned us down. But I think obviously the boys got and I think I remember telling you really weirdly, when he played for Falkirk, I served him at my old job and had no idea who he was.
Oh, really?
Asked him about his accent. Yeah. Asked him about his accent, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just up playing for Falkirk." And I was just like, "All right, cool, no problem." And then next thing I know, Sunderland will link to him. Little does he know I know what his skincare routine is, because he used to work with bath bombs. So there you go. Random story. He was in with his missus.
I was going to say, he does look after himself, it seems. He seems quite quite fresh-faced.
He was severely worried about his acne, if I remember correctly, and I was just
really?
"Mate, you've got none. You're absolutely sound. You're 6'4". You've got a good-looking woman there. You're fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine."
Yeah.
But I did manage to tell him a bag of tricks, shall we say? So it was all right in the end from a manager's perspective. But anyway, another story for another day. So Charlton have done really well, and I am actually quite worried about Saturday. I think. I don't know. Charlton are just one of those teams that I've watched and I've thought have been quite handy. I've watched Portsmouth and I understand why they're top. And obviously they beat us, but I thought we were probably the better side until Leuven's got a red card and gave the penalty away. Luton, we played very early in the season. But when I have managed to catch Charlton, you have looked quite good. You mentioned about being nervous at the start of the season and thought, well, not nervous, that you didn't feel you were going to get anything from it. Whereas we're now, 5 months down the line, you're fourth, we're third with 2 games in hand on second. Are you feeling a little bit more confident about Saturday, or do you feel like there's more of a... It's a bigger game than the start of the season, isn't it? Because we're both going for it now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I feel obviously a lot more confident I did at the start of the season, yes, but at the same time, the amount of injuries that we're getting now, it's starting to tell, and I think. I mean, we were 2-0 up within 10 minutes yesterday against Walsall and literally played them off the park. They couldn't get anywhere near us. But then we start, you can't maintain that, and we looked a little bit leggy because Bowyer can't change it around. He's had to play more or less the same team 4 times in 10 days. And obviously we've got, Jason Pearce is injured now for Saturday, which is a captain, who's an absolute massive miss for us. But yeah, I mean, I'm a lot happier than I was. But I'm not. Wouldn't say I'm still excited. I think I don't know if you've seen the news who we might be getting in before Saturday, which is quite ironic.
I heard there's a couple of signings that are due, but I didn't see who. But I did see Bowyer saying he expects a couple in before the match. Who is that?
Well, one of them is a left back, but we don't. There's rumours who it is, but I don't really know if it's right or not. And then there was another guy. There was a midfielder who was in the stands on yesterday, who Bowyer said that he spoke to last week, and he was Jonny Williams, who was obviously at Sunderland.
Oh, interesting.
So he was at the game yesterday. Whether or not that gets over the line before Saturday, I don't know, but that'll be interesting if it is.
Yeah.
Because obviously, again, watching the the Netflix things, he seemed like a nice chap,
Who were Jonny Williams? Yeah, everyone loved him after that. The poor little bastard. Because he's, with Jonny Williams, I didn't realize it was Jonny Williams who you're linked to in it. And you know what? Jonny Williams was never that bad for us. He came during a horrific season, but you could see there was something there. But he was just, every time anybody touched him, he was injured. So if you got injury problems, I'll be honest with you, if you can keep him fit, brilliant. But if you keep Jonny Williams fit, then I'd be very surprised. But if he does play, that is a little bit of a worry for us, because he's better than this standard.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah. But like you say, if he stays fit, but I mean, we've got an injury crisis at the moment. We've got 8 or 9 people out. I mean, just for example, the luck we had. So we had the dislocated shoulders, and then we had George Lapsley, the little blonde one who played the young kid in the middle against you guys. He came on, when we beat Portsmouth at Fratton Park 2-1. Literally he got concussion, so he's out for 7 days. Then he came on against Coventry on Boxing Day, and within 4 minutes, clash of heads, claret all down the face, and he's out for concussion again. So it's unbelievable the amount of luck we're having at the moment. But yeah, like you say, if you can keep Jonny Williams fit, I think he is a good player this league. But this is really it's like he's never really consistently played, and I know his contract's up in June. But I can understand why Palace probably won't want to renew the contract, but they're probably not going to get any mileage out of him. So I think it's a big loan for him if it does come off. He was at the game. It's not signed, still delivered yet, but it's a sign. And then obviously today we've just been, there's little rumours going around, the silly ones that happen. You've got ones of Chuks Aneke from MK Dons. So, I mean, listen, I just take them with a pinch of salt, really, because you'll always have some kid in his bedroom make up rumours, wouldn't you? But the Jonny Williams one does seem like there has legs in it, because he was at the game, and he wouldn't really be coming to Charlton just to watch us, I'm pretty sure.
Not as a Palace player, definitely not.
Exactly.
And the thing is, injuries are affecting you even when they're not your own injuries, because Villa's goalkeeper got injured and your goalkeeper got sent back, didn't he? So there was another thing that's been affected.
Well, yeah, so obviously Jed played against Barnsley on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday morning, Dean Smith called Bowyer and said, obviously Nyland, he's out for the season, I think, and they're calling Jed back, which, at the end of the day, this is the problem you have with loans. And, I thought Steer did bring something to our team, but we have got, Dylan Phillips, who played in the game against you guys. He's able, but I think, he's improved as a goalie. But like you say, they're just the things that are going against us. And, it's just a bit annoying because Villa have just signed a brand new goalkeeper. which I think they signed. I think went through today, or no, went through yesterday, but he wasn't registered in time to play against QPR yesterday. So it's going to be a bit annoying now if they then just put Steer on the bench for the rest of the season, because it's like, well, surely you could have played someone for one game, but it remains to be seen. But like exactly, it's those little things at the moment. It's just like we're not getting just someone with a dead leg. You know, I think we'd be happy with someone to get a dead leg and be out for one game. But at the moment, it's like he's either getting recalled or, you know, next thing I was expecting, when Arsenal were going through a centre-back crisis, I was expecting them to recall Christian Bilic. I was like, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But listen, I mean, it's part of the game, but it's just it's a bit hard to take because we had a small squad as it was. And obviously, when they start hitting, but we all, you know, everyone knows the issue of where you know, where the responsibility of that lies with in terms of the club. But it is what it is, in the famous words of what Bowyer says.
It's funny when you look through the team and the appearances that your players have made. Pretty much the only players that have stayed fit is your right back, Chris Solly, and you've got your two centre forwards. The rest are all 11, 15 games, and we've played, what, 20, 22, 23, 24?
Yeah.
There's literally only your centre forwards and your right back that have played every game. That's
Exactly.
it.
And Chris Solly has made the most appearances this season. And, you know, he's had troubles with his knee, but obviously he's kept fit this year. But this is what I mean. We've not really had a settled team. We'll play like 2 games and then someone will be out and then we'll have to reshuffle and then someone will be suspended and then we'll have to reshuffle. I don't think we've been able. It'd be interesting to see how many games we've had for the same starting lineup. And it's not because Bow, you know, has a depth of players to choose from. It's just that they're in force sometimes, and that's why I think that where we are, it's incredible where we are, because I think, again, I mean, I'm trying to think of the midfield we played against you for the first game. I would imagine it was Marshall, Lapsley, Pratley, and I'm trying to think.
I remember Pratley played. I do remember Pratley played.
Marshall must have been a wing back. So that's what I mean. So because I don't think at the time we had Bilic. We definitely didn't have Josh Cullen because Pratley wouldn't have been playing. Hopefully.
Did Rebo play?
Rebo, and that was it. Yeah. So yeah, we've just lost a Rebo for 6 weeks. He's been absolutely sensational this year.
Constant injuries then. I mean, but that must be a good thing, because I mean, I tried to do my research before I do these, and I think I don't know why Charlton are just one of those teams that I just know a little bit more about, possibly because I was a 90s kid pretty much growing up. So Charlton are a team I seem to know more about than maybe AFC Wimbledon, for example. But I think you see a team that, you know, right up our arses, and we've got to be watching our back with teams like Charlton and stuff like that. And it's so you've got to have that, I suppose, that wonder that if you'd kept a settled fit team constantly, that you could be pushing Luton, Sunderland, Portsmouth more than you already are, though. That must be quite frustrating.
Oh yeah, I think that is frustrating. So I think if you look, I mean, most of the injuries have been in the midfield area, which, because Bowyer plays a diamond formation, all of them are really central. We don't really have, you know, many out and out wingers apart from maybe like Mark Marshall or even Tariq Fosu it'd always cut in. But I mean, the main 3 you'd have would be Joe Rebo, Josh Cullen, and possibly Ben Reeves and Christian Bilic. And obviously 3 of those are injured. And then obviously you go to the ones below that. You've got Lapsley, who's injured. Darren Pratley's Pratley. And then, so it's just frustrating that, that's what I mean. Like you say, if we had a settled side, it is ifs and buts, isn't it? But for all we know, we could have had a fully fit squad all year and be 10th, for all we know. Yeah. But it would have been nice just to have a settled side, because when we're on our game, I mean, the game we played against Barnsley at home, it was similar to when we played you. I was nervous, and you know, we absolutely battered them at home. But I mean, for me, the best team that we've played so far on the ball is definitely Luton by a country mile.
How did he get on against Luton?
We drew 2-2 last minute at Kenilworth Road.
That's right. And that was only 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, you know, their home record, they scored in every single home game in 2018. I mean, and then I don't. I think they did. Did they score? I think they did score on New Year's Day. I think they got an
Yeah,
equaliser.
they did. Yeah, I think they did.
Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, but they're the same. They have a diamond formation. But again, they have a small squad, but they have had more or less a settled side, and you can see that. And Portsmouth have a settled side, but you can see they have a different way of playing. They're a bit more physical, a bit more direct. Um, but yeah, I think it'd be nice, to see. To have a settled side. And, injuries are part of the game. Listen, don't get me wrong, it does. And I'm not sitting there moping about injuries because everyone has them. It's just they're all in the same bleeming position.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just once, like I said, you just want someone with a broken finger or something. Do you know what I mean? Instead of having,
Yeah.
like a groin strain, or it's like, oh, here we go. It's every week. So I mean, I think a couple of them went off injured yesterday. So I don't know. I just think Bo's just got to try and patch him up, unless Bo gets ready and puts a shirt on. It's the only thing I can think of. Put him in the middle.
It's been a little while. He's probably going to be more fit than Jonny Williams will be if you get Jonny
Yeah,
Williams, if I'm honest. I feel
saying
kind of
that,
bad. I
it'd be
feel bad
funny
that I've
with
criticised him.
it'd be funny having a game with blooming Bowyer and Catmull in the middle, wouldn't it? Is he still fit, Catmull? Is he still?
Yeah, he's
Is he still there in the front of it all?
didn't play in the opening game of the season, and
No.
I think it was pretty much expected that he was going to go, but he didn't, and he had a really good start of the season once he got in the team. He was actually scoring goals, which is quite weird for Lee Catmull, to be honest. And everyone loves cats. If we're honest with each other, everyone loves cats because cats. He's looked a bit rusty since he came back. That's the thing with Catmull. He seems to. Sometimes he'll hit a bit of form and then he'll get an injury, and every injury his legs seem to get worse. And I'll get shot for saying that because you can't criticize Lee Catmull sometimes, but he has played well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if him and Max Power is the right midfield. For me, it would be Honeyman deep with Max Power. But I mean, if Katz was just a bit faster, it would be all right.
Just a bit more agile, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of injuries in his 10 years that he's been here, and each injury seems to just make him that little bit slow, and it takes him 4 or 5 games to get back from each injury, and then he seems to get another one, and it's frustrating, but yeah, you know what, a lovely Catmull. Who doesn't? How can you not love Lee Catmull?
I know probably a few teams that probably don't.
Yeah, one or two. You love him if you're us, I guess. But he's actually. Oh, come to think of it, I'm talking about Catmull. He's suspended for Saturday.
Oh, that's good then.
He's suspended. He got his 10th yellow card of the season yesterday, so he's out for Charlton and Luton at home. Yeah. Oh shit, I forgot about that. So it depends if Honeyman's fit, which I don't mind if Honeyman's fit. But we started the season against Charlton with a midfield that's never appeared again for us in the middle.
Who did you have? McGeoch?
No, we had 16-year-old Barley Mumba.
Oh, that was it, Barley Mumba, yeah.
And Luke Nyan.
Oh yeah.
And O'Nien went off at half time. We brought Sinclair on, went 2 up top. But O'Nien has done really well, actually. Never really reappeared for ages. And then he sort of came on as sub and scored a couple of goals. But he's actually filling in at right back for us at the minute. And he's done all right. But in the midfield, if Honeyman's fit, which I don't know if he will be, it'll be Max Power and McGeoch probably, actually, on Saturday.
Yeah.
McGeoch I'm not the biggest fan of, but I'm prepared to be proven wrong.
And then you'll have 3 in front of them two, I assume, and then Madger up top on his own.
I would assume, well, if we go by what we did yesterday, actually, we changed stuff up a little bit yesterday. We had, obviously, in goal, you're going to have McLaughlin. At right back, you'll have O'Nien, you'll have Baldwin and Flanagan at centre-half. Reece James will be at left-back, I'd imagine. You'd have McGeoch and Power sitting. Then you'd have McGeady, who's absolutely on fire, and he's just so good at this level.
Yeah.
Alongside, on the right, you'll have Gucci, and they'll be switching over a bit. But we actually played Charlie Wyke up front yesterday. He was at the battering ram, and Madger kind of dropped into the number 10 role, and it actually really worked. It really worked. Like Madger, he saw so much more of the ball because Wyke was just like a battering ram. And
I suppose he can pick the ball up and run at players, then I suppose, can't he?
Yeah.
So I think I only found out the other day when I was watching your your Netflix thing that Josh Madger is actually from around near Charlton.
Yeah, he's I think he was at Fulham when he was a kid.
Yeah, he come because where I live, you've got Fulham quite a lot, pick up quite a lot of young players, and so yeah, I only really because I was wondering, I wonder if he come through the sort of the Sunderland youth. Then I looked it up. I was like, oh, geez, from blooming Greenwich or wherever he's from.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, yeah, Magic's going to be obviously a threat wherever. But I think there's be quite a few goals on Saturday. I really do.
Could be quite interesting the Magic situation on Saturday because his contract's up in 6 months and
oh really?
Gooch's contract was up in 6 months and those were the two players we were trying to tie down and they both had offers and Gooch signed his on New Year's Day. I think it was New Year's Day. New Year's Day. So he's tied down for 3 years, which is great. And I think that was kind of expected. Madger's kind of been sitting on his offer for about 4 or 5 weeks. And just after the Shrewsbury game, Jack Ross was asked about his contract situation of both him and Gooch. And he said, I expect Gooch to sign. We've told Josh Madger he's got a week to make his mind up. And that week ends Friday before the match on Saturday. But I'm of the opinion of even if he turns down the contract, I don't think we should cash in on him. I think it's more important we get promoted, and if we lose him on a free, we lose him on a free. It is what it is.
Yeah, but I think if you guys get promoted, he'll probably sign for you anyway. I can't see him going to or him getting any game time at a Premiership club. He could possibly go to another Championship club, maybe, but surely he'd probably rather stay. If you guys go up, surely he'd stay with you, wouldn't he? That's what I would do.
I think it'd be the wrong decision for him to move. He's just turned 20.
Oh, yeah.
He's had a good 6 months. He could have another good 6 months and score 30 goals, get promotion, have something on his CV, then look to do well in the Championship. And in the Championship, there's still not that many clubs in the Championship can pull in 30, 35,000. And if we start doing well, as you've seen against Bradford, we'll pull in 40-odd thousand on a weekly basis. That's quite easy to do. And who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, exactly.
I think Cardiff are supposed to be interested in him, but
Nah.
Not
you wouldn't go there for long ball, would you?
Like, I mean, Neil Warnock, what is he gonna? I mean, you know what? I quite like Neil Warnock, but is he really going to improve him the way Jack Ross would?
No.
And I'm not saying Jack Ross is better than Warnock. Warnock's got a far superior record, but I just feel like Neil Warnock wouldn't develop him the same way he's getting developed here right now.
Yeah, to be fair, I think you're probably likely to keep him, but I think he's probably thinking, if there is a possibility that you only get the playoffs and then you don't go up, at least he's got an option then of going to the Championship if there's someone knocking about. But I think his end game probably will be hoping that you go up and then he'll stay with you guys, obviously. But I mean, we don't know, do we? But it'll be interesting, like you say, on Saturday if he's not in the squad.
Yeah. Sure. I hope come what may, he keeps him at least until the end of the season, and then we go from there. But yeah, you mentioned before, obviously, I normally ask, which players you'd look out for and stuff, but I think we've kind of covered that in our own little way. But
yeah,
you mentioned you've been watching the Netflix series. How did that come across to a Charlton fan, opposite end of the country? Probably understand a little bit what we went through. Charlton's had some about. Did you enjoy it?
Do you know what? It was a bit surreal. I mean, so I was just flicking along Netflix as you do anyway, and then I saw this Sunderland Till I Die thing, and I was like, oh, what the hell's this? and then anyway, I saw it, and I thought, well, do you know what? It would actually be, because I think if it was like, it wasn't that you went down from the Premiership and then straight down again. It was in the manner of like you was always down there. So I was like, well, I'll give it a watch. I'll give it a couple of episodes. Obviously, I was watching some of it up onto the train up at on the way up to Barnsley on Saturday and stuff. And do you know what? It was just actually quite. I mean, the first sort of 4 episodes, it was quite sad, really. Because it's what I realised is, I mean, everyone, I'm passionate about Charlton, and all the Charlton fans love Charlton to bits, blah blah. But it is very different from support. Well, to me, it comes across as being very different when you're supporting a team like Charlton in London, which, like I say, I love going Charlton. I love it to death. But then when you go up to sort of like the likes of Sunderland and sort of Bowyer and Newcastle, it's like the central point of the whole city.
Yeah.
And it's like the be all and end all of a Saturday. Whereas I think if you go, so in London, I can come out of a game and we'll lose and I'll be gutted, but then I can go up to like the West End and do all this, that, and the other. Whereas when you're in Sunderland and you lose in Sunderland, you're still in Sunderland and you can't really get away from it. Do you know what I mean? And it really resonated to me that, and watching, they were interviewing the fans all along, and I actually felt really sorry for everyone who was there, and I was like, oh, it must be horrible. And like you say, we've been through some stuff as well, but just watching it was, at points, it was really uncomfortable to watch, just to think like how, you had the Q&A with Martin Bain. Is it Martin Bain or so?
Yeah, Martin Bain. Yeah.
And to be fair, I don't know the fella, and he seemed a bit, what's the word?
A dick.
He seemed a bit arrogant. Do you know? He come across as that he was caring, but it just seemed like I'm the big man, and I mean, it didn't really. I don't know. It was weird, and I just felt sorry for everyone.
Great for the cameras, wasn't he? I felt he was great for the cameras. Yeah,
I think he was a good actor. I'm not saying he didn't care. Of course, I'm not saying that, but I just I felt for everyone, and it was just like. You'd go, you have that game against, I think, was it Middlesbrough or something, or where you won 3-0 or something.
Oh, it was Derby. We won.
Oh, Derby, that's it. Yeah, and it was like it was insane. And then you go up there, and then you go down again, and it was just. And then I felt sorry for Coleman, and I didn't know. It was interesting watching it about the Lewis Grabban situation as well.
Yeah, that really annoyed me actually, because I quite liked Grabban. I thought, everyone had a goal, he scored goals, and Coleman decided not to have him. And then when he was laughing about scoring, my immediate thought was, what a prick.
This is the thing, because I mean, when you watch it back, he said that he left because he was getting subbed after 60, 70 minutes. Okay, that's fine. But then when you score against Sunderland, when you've been there and you know how much it means to people, to sort of laugh at the fact. I know you can, I'm not saying you shouldn't celebrate, but to laugh it off, it was like, well, that seemed there was something a bit like, I'm too good to be in a relegation battle for me. That's how it struck me. And it put me off a little bit, to be fair, because he's a good player.
He is.
But yeah, I mean, and then obviously fast forward into the end, and then you watch, seeing Honeyman like visibly, upset because he's a fan. And, but yeah, obviously, it would have been interesting if it carried on to this season for sure.
Not for us.
But yeah, as long as you stopped right, you're sort of at the first whistle when we play you, then, because obviously, you can imagine how those fans, how they would have felt as soon as that penalty went in for Charlton. A lot of people would have thinking, here we go again, sort of thing. But obviously, it's nice to see that you're doing well now. Obviously, hopefully not too well. If we're still involved in May, but I've got a bad feeling it might be us two in a final again. I think I've got a really bad feeling.
Don't say that, please.
But what we'll do is we'll just get Clive Mendonca out of the factory in this round, and he'll come and play for us again.
Oh no! Just remembering that I was 12. No,
I was 11.
I was 11 because I was born in September 86 and it was 98. So I would have been just before I was 12. And I was in Thailand. We got beat 4-0 off Reading away from home. And my dad said, I booked a holiday away to Thailand because I want to take the family away. The season's finished by that point. We're not going to get promoted. We're not going to get near the playoffs. We were about 17th or something at this point. And then we just went on this unreal run where just no one could touch us. And it was just the best times. And we ended up getting to the playoff final. And my dad was contemplating just like not bothering going to the Thailand, knocking off the holiday. And eventually we decided just to do it. And we'll just go. And we watched it. And it was, I think the kickoff would have been about 10 o'clock at night or something.
Yeah.
And so by the time the game finished, it was like 2 or 3 in Thailand. I was 11. And I had my full strip on, and I still remember the moment that Mickey Gray missed it, and they're just. I don't think I've ever been so sad and drained and awful.
Yeah.
I would never be able to handle anything like that again. Never
Especially
ever.
if it was against us again, wouldn't it? Imagine
Oh, never.
another
Sasa
penalty
Ilic.
shootout. Oh,
Sasa Ilic. Even when Chris Makin took his penalty and Sasa Ilic almost saved it and like tapped it into the bottom corner and just, oh no, no, never again, never again. No. We'll just have the automatic promotion. It'll be fine. It'll be
yeah.
okay.
Well, I think
Please.
it'll only be Luton. I think it'll only be Luton who drop off, but they are a very, very good footballing side.
Luton Schmooten.
But yeah, I think, like you said, I think I think even if you lose to us on Saturday, I think with the 2 games in hand, and you've still got Luton to play at home. Is it at home or at Kenilworth?
At home, we've got Luton at home.
I still think you're obviously in the driving seat. But yeah, I think the automatics is between you 3. I think Barnsley are a very good team in the to be in the playoffs as well, and they might actually put pressure. I think Barnsley might put more pressure on you than we will. Obviously, I hope that we don't. I hope we do rather. But Barnsley are a good little team as well. So
yeah,
Doncaster are flying up now as well.
They were impressive at the stadium. We went 3-0 up in like half an hour, scored 3 goals in 10 minutes, but Barnsley pulled 2 back. And I would say Charlton and Barnsley have been the best teams we've had at the stadium this season. Obviously, we haven't had Portsmouth and Luton, so I guess you kind of expect it, but it was definitely a difference. But I suppose then, just to kind of finish off, I can't remember what your prediction was at the start of the season. I'm sure you said we'd win, but
I think so. I might have actually said 3-1 or something.
You were close. What do you think for this Saturday?
I'm going to go for a Desmond.
2-2.
I think there's goals that I think we're missing. Our captain. I don't know. I think your midfield might have the edge on us. I think a little bit, but I think we'll give as good as we get. I don't see us winning, but I don't really see us because we always step up for these games. It's the games against like the Rochdales and the Coventries that we don't turn up for. So yeah, I think we'll get a solid point. So I'm going to go for a 2-2.
I think this is a first, but I think I'm going to agree with you. I think I'll go 2-2 as well, and I take 2-2. Just don't get beat.
Yeah. So we'll have a word with Jack Ross and Lee Bowyers. Say let's call it 2-2.
Yeah, let's just call it 2-2, and if you can let Nathan and Graham know, so they can put a lot of money on it.
But I think both managers. I mean, Bo won't go out to draw a game at home. No way. He'll probably go out to win it.
Same with Jack.
I think Jack will as well. I think it's more like you say. It's more or less not a free punt, but you've still got 2 games in hand, really. Who are those 2 games in hand against again?
Blackpool at home and Accrington Stanley away.
See, yeah. So they are winnable games.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I can't. I don't think. Either team are going to get better. It's not going to be like a 3-0 or anything. I think it'll be.
No, I don't think
it'll be. That's why I think there'll be a lot of goals. I think it'll be. I think it'll be quite a fast game, and I think it'll be quite a good game.
Cue the 0-0. And that 2 defensive teams frightened of getting beat for the once in the entire season. Yeah. But thanks for coming on again, Nathan. It's actually been good catching up based on. Again, how many things have changed in 5 months of football, but I do hope you have a really bad Saturday. I would fucking hate if we end up playing you in the playoff final. That would be my worst nightmare because I just, no, fuck that. Not a chance. But, do enjoy the season as best as you can, as long as it doesn't affect ours. But thanks very much for coming on again, mate, and hopefully you'll enjoy season 2 of Sunderland Till I Die, which apparently is happening.
Oh, really?
Apparently so.
This season?
I don't know, actually, but there was a trailer for it somewhere. And it does look quite good, but hopefully it doesn't end in a bloody playoff final against
I was going to say, was you on that? Because I know that the ROKER Report was on the actual, one of the episodes, but I can't remember.
Season 8. Isn't it? Yeah. Because we got the first interview with Stuart Donald, but that was Connor who got it. I'm not sure why, because I'm considerably better looking. But
I
nonetheless,
thought you had a face for radio anyway.
Well, apparently so, but Connor has more of a face for radio, shall we say. Didn't have to design a stubble like me and Martin Bain do, you see. But
Oh, right, nice.
but enjoy it as long as it doesn't happen to be a player final against Charlton where you bloody win. Because like I say, I'm not, no, you've put the shits at me. No, you can tell. But thanks for coming on, mate, and
No
look
worries.
after yourself. All right, Happy New Year.
You too, pal. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, bud. Bye bye. So that was the end of whatever number episode it was. I have no idea. But yeah, it was nice to have Nathan back on. I actually really enjoyed speaking to Nathan at the start of the season. And we've sort of stayed in touch. You know, we don't speak every day, don't get me wrong, but we've stayed in touch over the season. Obviously, I still follow him on Twitter and whatnot. He's a really, really good lad. Really, really good lad. Really, really good knowledge of football and a good laugh. Actually, someone I have a lot of respect for when it comes to stuff. And I really wanted to make sure that when we played Charlton, it was him that I got on again. Sometimes I'll try and look for someone that we haven't had on in the past, but I really, really enjoy chatting to Nathan. I think he's got really good knowledge. And if you wanted to follow him on Twitter, which I'd recommend, like I say, he knows his stuff. It's at _ NAM11. NAM is in NAM. I'm trying to think of the phonetic alphabet. But I can't think of it. Doesn't matter. But yeah, enjoy Saturday. Yesterday was great. Win is a win is a win, but it's nice when you've got the best part of like what 8,000 of us almost. Have a good new year. I think I might have mentioned for you to have a good new year last time we spoke. Thanks for listening to it as always. I hope you enjoyed it. Anything I can improve on, let me know. I try to take on the constructive criticism as best as I can. And you might have noticed I've tried my very best not to say the word mate as best as possible, but now and again it's sneaked in ever so slightly. So do forgive me for that. I'll try my best not to do it too much next time. Enjoy Saturday. Enjoy hopefully another 3 points or one. Take one if I'm honest. And let's keep onwards and upwards, and hopefully by the next time I spoke to you, Josh Madge signed a 25-year contract. Brilliant. Have a good one. Bye-bye.